Yo, what's up, people? This is the Solar Kid, and this is the Other Side of the Sun podcast. And I've got my man Xing Ge, side kid, and
Those guys like
yeah, I met Xing through martial arts. I was doing Sanda. We were doing that at the Shaolin Temple in Chezen, and I wanted to get him on to just have a chat because he's had a interesting life, and I wanted to just speak to him a bit more about it, and yeah, hopefully you can share with us some insights on what it was like, and yeah, what it was like being a disciple of Shaolin as well.
you, I'm glad you used the correct term. I thought you was going to use Shaolin monk,
Ah,
which I'm not. So I'm
yeah, well, I
using the
mean,
word disciple.
or student of Shaolin, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, disciple. That's exactly what it means, isn't it? It's just a student of Shaolin. So, in the past, a lot of people have. So you're a Shaolin monk, are you? No, I'm not no monk. I'm far from a monk, But yeah, a lot of people get this idea that if you study Shaolin, you've taken the vows and you've become Buddhist and things like that. So
I suppose that's the difference. Do you want to explain like what the difference is, so people can understand the difference between a monk and a disciple of Shaolin?
well, number one, a monk doesn't necessarily do martial arts. Um, a, a monk is a Buddhist monk is someone who follows the Buddhist religion, but they don't necessarily, like I said, do martial arts. However, at the same time, a disciple or a Shaolin disciple may have taken some vows if they live in a monastery in the Shaolin temple, um, but maybe they haven't taken the full vows of practicing Buddhism to its fullest, um, like for example, giving up certain things like not getting married, um, not giving up meat and things like that. That's all part of taking the full vows of being a Shaolin monk, as well as other, Thai monks do the same. So yeah, I haven't done any of that. I haven't been through that process, and I'm not Buddhist either.
Okay.
I'm from a Muslim background, so I'm Muslim, so I come from a fairly different teaching, although there might be some similarities in what Buddhism teaches, what Islam teaches. But yeah, I'm from an Islamic background.
Okay.
It was actually quite difficult when I first started Shaolin, actually, because one of the first things that people said to me was, "Yeah, but you're Muslim. Why are you doing Shaolin? You know, um, why are you dressing up in robes? Why are you dressing up in orange robes? Why you got these beads?"
Yeah.
I used to get a lot of those type of questions. Why are you shaving your head for?
How old were you when you actually got involved initially?
Well, initially I got involved in Shaolin when I was 20, I would say 28.
Okay.
28.
Late in
So
life.
I started off, quite very late. It's funny actually because it's something that I wanted to do as a young kid. I was born in the 80s, so when I was growing up, there wasn't any, or that I knew of, there wasn't any Shaolin martial arts going on in the UK until later on, which I didn't know about as well. There was a temple opened up in Tufnell Park, I think maybe around 2000, something like that. I still didn't know about it. So yeah, when I was a kid, that's what I really wanted to do. I really wanted to learn Shaolin Kung Fu, and that comes from watching all like Jet Li movies, like
Yeah.
Shaolin Temple, watching Jackie Chan, watching Bruce Lee. I loved it. Although the general thing that I wanted to learn was Kung Fu, but then I played with karate a little bit. I've done taekwondo for a little while. And to me, it wasn't the same. I was more interested. Like karate, I felt was very, very rigid with the school that I was learning at.
Mm.
Um, Taekwondo, I enjoyed Taekwondo. It was really cool. It was really good. Like the training was really good. However, I felt it was more more the sporting element,
Like
which I didn't enjoy. You know, yeah, it's very it's competition based, isn't it?
Mm,
What I really wanted to do is learn the art of Shaolin. You know, that's what I really enjoyed looking at. You know, the artist side of
what
Shaolin.
were you doing
You know,
before that?
all the
Like up until 28 or like in high school and that kind of stuff? What was, I mean, you grew up in East London, right? You said.
yeah, I grew up in East London. So I mean, at 28, what was I doing? This was a long time ago. I was just working. I was in office work.
Okay.
I was in office work. What happened was at around, I used to play a lot of football when I was in like from my 20s, and then I had a football injury, put me out of football for about 7 months, something like that. Um, so I didn't do anything for a little while, and then got big. You know, I was at home for a good few months before I recovered. So I got really big. So then I started running. I started running every day, 3 miles. That's all I knew what to do. So I just
Mm.
started running. Then I started playing football again. And then as I recovered, I started doing other things like badminton. So I started playing badminton, and I went into the Schiller Center, and I heard a noise from behind the curtain that was covering us playing badminton, and I heard yee ha 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 ha, and I recognized it straight away. And it was this guy leading a Shaolin class.
Ah,
Um, I had a little peep around the corner, saw what was going on, went and spoke to him after his lesson finished, and I joined that school straight away.
mm.
So, and that's kind of like where my journey started. From that sound, yee ha ha ha. I heard that and I was like, yes. And
But
I thought, I did think to myself, you know, I'm 28 now. Like, should I really be starting something like something like Kung Fu is for kids? No, I
mm,
did. You know, that did come across my mind, but then I thought to myself, you know what? I wanted to do this from when I was a kid. There's no better time than now to just go ahead and just do it. You know, when you're a kid, you might not even, you know, maybe I wouldn't have had the money to
yeah,
do it when I was a little kid. But I had money. There was nothing stopping me from starting, so I joined the club straight away. And we used to train uh, about 3 times a week up in Leighton and Walthamstow with this guy Shifel Brown. So that's where my journey started.
that's it's almost similar to me because like I started capoeira when I was about 28, 29. And it
Yeah,
was also literally the same thing. I mean, growing up where I did in South Africa, like I didn't see there was no capoeira, nothing. And it was always something, I think it was from Tekken or, from watching Tekken and watching
yeah,
movies,
yeah,
like, watching and seeing that guy do all these flips and stuff. And then eventually this guy in Chesant, I think it was in like 2009, he started a class. And then I literally, same thing, where you're thinking like, damn, you're like 29 years old. Why are you getting into this now? Like you're old, like, you know what I mean? You shouldn't be doing this. But then I'm
yeah,
the same. I was just like, nah, screw it. I'm just going to do it. And then ended up doing that for like 6, 7 years, man. I mean, I got like up about 3 or 4 belts, and then he had to move, and like some of the classes were in London, and it just became too, tedious to like to travel and stuff like
yeah.
that. Yeah. I mean, same for me, man. Literally.
Well, it's funny you say about capoeira. I mean, that's another thing that that I wanted to do as a kid. I watched some. It was, what movie was it? It
Only
was
the brave,
called
only the
Only the
brave,
Strong.
only the strong. Yes.
Only it with with Mark the Cosmos, the
Yes.
Cascos. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but I saw that movie and I was like, wow, this is sick. You know what I mean? Capoeira looks it, and again, yeah, all the flips and everything was there, but it was the art, the style that intrigued me. So yeah, if it wasn't gonna be Shaolin, it would have definitely probably be gone that way. Again, when I was growing up, there was no capoeira classes going on that I knew of anyway. And it wasn't as easy to just find something. Like, we didn't have no internet, so you couldn't just Google capoeira classes in London, you know.
Mm.
So
So yeah, like how did you get involved in with the temple and that? Because obviously, so you started your Shaolin journey in Leighton, and then
yeah,
yeah, what led you? Because I mean, I know you've been doing it for a while now, or you've done it for a long
yeah.
time.
So what happened was, when I was training in Leighton, um, uh, Matthew actually used to train at that class, Daga, we call him Daga. He used to train with that school, not necessarily with that teacher. There was another Chinese teacher that used to teach there called Heng Long. So he used to train with him before he went off to China. And the year that I had got involved with that school, Matthew visited the UK. So he had been already training in China for about 4 years or so, and
Oh
he
wow.
visited the UK, and he came down to the school. So I got to meet him, and he came to one of our classes, and he was giving everyone a little hand and everything. And I just he gave me a hand with something that I wanted to learn. It was something called twirling kick, which I really wanted to do. Um, and we just got talking from there. And he said, that the following year he's going to be back again and stuff. So, to hit him up, and he was part of this show called the Shaolin Wheel of Life, and he was going to be part of that show. So he got in touch with me and let me know that he's going to be down. Needed some posters and leaflets, and I also done graphic design, so I got a couple of leaflets or posters done for him. And then met up with him, went to watch his show. I think it was on for about 2 weeks, and I think I must have gone at least 8 times to watch that show. I couldn't get enough. I could not get enough. So I went to watch
And
Shaolin.
breaking boards and doing all those things.
Yeah, everything. I mean, the Shaolin Wheel of Life wasn't the first Shaolin show that I saw. So before I started Shaolin, I actually went to watch another theater show called Kung Fu Masters, or Shaolin Kung Fu Masters, and that was up in Holborn, and that's where it kind of it just gave me my memories of what I wanted to do as a kid. So I was amazed by what I saw, firsthand on stage. And then obviously I started Shaolin with that school. And then I met Matthew, and then I watched the Wheel of Life like 8 times. And each day I just took different people with me, just so it gave me an excuse to go again. But yeah, Shaolin Wheel of Life was more story-like, so it was very interesting to watch. Rather than just come out and just start breaking stuff, it was story based around the whole Shaolin story, how the temple came about, how the students and teachers came about, and so on, and how it all developed.
I actually don't know much about the story of Shaolin. Like, how did it actually develop the whole Shaolin philosophy and teachings?
Well, there's a lot of myth around behind that, but one of the most popular, I won't call it a myth, but one of the most popular stories is that the temple was being persecuted by the emperor of that time. The emperor wasn't too happy about the fact that these monks were becoming powerful and strong, and they were holding out against him. So he tried to demolish the temple and kill everyone in it, which he succeeded, saved about five or six monks, who then went on to become stronger and redevelop the temple in a different way, pretty much to what it is now. So, and still continuing on the Buddhist tradition and religion.
So they kept
so
the
they were
and incorporated martial arts basically.
exactly, and the main purpose of that of the Shaolin martial arts developing was to protect themselves.
Okay. So as a form of
So,
yeah. Because I know
the,
Buddhists say they value a teaching called ahimsa, which is non-violence as well. So for me, it's always been a bit interesting how the the two work together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, ahimsa also comes from Hinduism as well.
Yeah, Sanskrit.
Um, so, yeah, exactly. And it was, the story goes that it was a Buddhist monk from India um, that went to China and taught them about Buddhism and taught them meditation and so on. Saying that then another Indian monk went to the temple and he found that the monks were becoming very weak from the long hours of meditation that they were doing. So he started teaching them certain movements, which then developed further into kung fu.
Also like Tai Chi, I suppose, because that's
Something is called Badwan
Badwan Jin.
Badwan Jing, which you've done.
Yeah, I remember we did
Badwan Jing,
Badwan Jin. Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
remember following that. So that's also like part of Tai Chi, you know? Or,
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you could say, Tai Chi probably developed from some of those moves as well. Um, what the story is that all kung fu under the sun came from Shaolin.
okay.
Um, and in my view, what that means is that people that developed their kung fu there, then maybe they moved away from the temple and they went out, made developed their own style of kung fu. That's why you have certain schools that teach only mantis, for example.
Okay.
Some schools only teach crane. Some schools teach something else. So there's so many different styles. It's very hard to kind of pinpoint where it all started.
So
Um,
what was your journey like from then? Like once you actually got into it now and it became a part of your life, how did it affect your life and
well, you know what? To be honest with you, initially when I started, I started training with Matthew as soon as he came back to the UK, and he told me that he was gonna. I remember this clearly. We was after one of his Wheel of Life shows. I was traveling back with him on the train, and then he was telling me that he may be coming back to the UK and starting up his own school. So when he came, he hit me up and I joined his school. I also used to train still at the school in Walthamstow. Um, Out of respect for that teacher, he started the whole journey for me. So I was going to both schools at first to start off with, and it was pretty difficult to balance that. So I would go 1 or 2 days train with Matthew, and the other 2 days I would train with Shiful Brand, and I kept that up for a little while until what I was learning was with Matthew, I found a little bit more valuable. Um, so I continued my training with him. At first, we used to train at the Laura Trott Ledge Centre, just a few hours a week. So like on a Friday, a couple of hours, and Saturday, a couple of hours as well. And this is all in between my work as well. I was working full time Monday to Friday. At that time, I believe I was working for a training company which worked with offenders. So I had a project that I was running for them. So I was working with offenders throughout the week, and then I would travel from Forest Gate to Cheshunt,
mm,
um, which was quite difficult at that time. Rush hour, like 5:30. It would sometimes it'll be easy. It'll take me 45 minutes. Other times it will take me 2 hours,
wow.
and I'll miss most of the class, but then I'll still get there and jump in. So those times were hard because not hard. It was easy, but at that time it felt stressful anyway.
Yeah.
Rushing around and still trying to do what you really want to do. Um, so yeah, it was pretty stressful, and it became one of those things where, and I'm sure everyone goes through this. It became on and off. So some weeks I wouldn't go in. I wouldn't make it to class. Or some weeks I'll be on the road, get stuck in traffic, and I'll be like, Matthew, I'm not coming today. I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah.
And it'll be one of those things.
Yeah, because then I think I started at the temple in 2000 and maybe 15 or something, but it was Jonathan was there. Jonathan was the trainer at that
Yeah,
time.
Jonathan. Yeah, so we call him Janga.
Younger,
He
yes,
he
right.
started. Yeah, he I think it was 2014 or 2015 that he started teaching his Sunday classes there. Um, yeah. So at that time, I wasn't a coach or anything like that. I was again just a disciple. I used to help out with some of the classes here and there, like in the absence of Matthew, who told me exactly what to teach, being one of the senior students. And I had been probably um, the only senior student, or not the only, but a handful of senior students that had been there right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, at first we didn't have the temple. We used to train at Laura Trot, and then Matthew got the temple. And when he got the temple, I was there right from the beginning. Um, yeah, so at that time, around 2014, 2015, Junga started teaching. I used to come to his classes here and there, but my main focus was, the Shaolin element.
Mm.
Not that Sanda isn't part of Shaolin, it is, but I was focusing more on, Shaolin forms, weapons training, qigong, things like that.
But I didn't even know about Sanda at that time, like, because I just thought it was kickboxing, and I mean, I didn't know that Sanda was part of Shaolin. Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, explain it a bit about like Sanda and how it relates to Shaolin in that sense, because for me it was like Chinese kickboxing, I guess, if it's
Well, yeah, I mean, you can call it that. Sanda in the loose translation is free fighting.
free fighting.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah, free fighting, meaning you could call it freestyle or fighting because Shaolin is so based around um, specific styles. And when you go into, like, for example, the traditional forms, you've got Qijing style, you've got Xiaohong style. These are all different forms that you learn, and they're all specific styles, and you can kind of recognize who does what. Whereas Sanda, just like kickboxing, just like MMA, like mixed martial arts, it's the same. It's freestyle.
okay.
You do what works best in terms of combat. Um, that's what you use. You use punches, you use kicks, elbows, knees.
There was
Obviously, in the sport of Sanda, you don't use elbows and knees. Throws, sweeps.
pros, yeah,
Um,
thing as well. I seen like the some people that do grappling as well, and like you said, throws and
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, in that sense, you could say it's kickboxing. You can say it's Muay Thai. It all comes into it. Bit of wrestling, bit of chinna, joint locking. That's where the throws come into it.
Okay, okay. I didn't even know that. I wish you had told me that in the beginning. I would have been a bit more. I wouldn't have been so rigid in the because I thought it was first like,
Younger just wanted you to kick the bag 100 times, yeah,
oh my god,
or 1,000
oh my god, yeah. He literally like the thing is with Janga, he didn't even. I mean, like I was trying to explain to him like, yo, I come from capoeira. And there's no punching. So I mean, I didn't, and I'd never done boxing before, any type of like first fight
Yeah,
in sport. So like for me, it was completely new, like actually standing and throwing. Like I didn't even know how to throw a punch in the beginning, and like I just got thrown in
yeah,
the deep end. And you know what training was like that time, bro. It was just like everyone just come there and they just want to spar, and it's all these big guys and they just want to kick the hell, just kick the shit out of you, bro. Literally,
yeah,
I had to learn quickly, But yeah, it
yeah,
was fun. It was really good though. It was, I think by the well, by
yeah.
the by last year.
Goes. Sorry to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say like by last year I was starting to really get the hang of it, especially because we were doing more boxing and starting to get like into moving and that kind of stuff. I was really starting to enjoy
Yeah,
it more.
yeah. Yeah, Django was a very good trainer. I mean, like I said, I only trained with him. I didn't train with him a lot, but I think around 2016 or so, I started coming into the stand-up classes a little bit more. You're just joining in. And it was
That's when I
mostly
met. Yeah,
because
that's
at
when
that
I
time,
met you.
yeah, exactly. That's when I met you as well. Because at that time I was going through, I wanted to change my, um, I wanted to go through a transformation because although I had been doing Shaolin training a lot, um, I didn't really pay any attention to eating or any eating habits and things like that. My eating habits were pretty bad, which kept me out of shape. I wasn't always like that when I started Shaolin because I used to run a lot and I used to play football a lot. That's another thing I kept up with my football in the first couple of years of starting Shaolin, and then I gave that up as well because I started getting injuries from football,
Yeah,
and
that's
it
why
stopped me from playing Shaolin. So I thought, okay, it's either stop Shaolin or stop football. I decided to stop playing football. Not completely. I would still go here and there, but it wasn't because I used to play 2 5-a-side leagues. I used to play 11-a-side on a Sunday. So
you were going
I
in.
just gave that up.
But yeah, when I met you, I
Yeah.
remember you. I mean, like we were the same. I mean, we were more or less the same weight. We were like in the 80s or something. We were like 86 or something. I think maybe you were even a little bit heavier than me when I met you.
Not a little bit heavier. I was way heavier.
No, you were probably
I
way
was
heavier.
something.
Yeah.
I think my highest weight was around 105 kg,
No, I
which
don't think you were
for
that.
my size,
Was it? But you were bigger because I
when I was,
I remember literally within about like 6 to 8 months when I came, I was like, yo, bro, you just lost all that weight, like fucking just like that, man. Like, well, I mean, it seemed like that, but that was
yeah,
months of hard work, like, you know what I mean? Because I remember when I came, they
yeah,
put us together to spar, like to spar
yeah,
together.
yeah.
And I just remember like how hard you used to kick that. I was just like, oh shit, this guy fucking kicks this thing. My leg off here, man. But yeah, and I
Well,
remember because you were like well, maybe a bit bigger than me, obviously, at that time, and before I lost weight as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, apart from apart from doing Django's class here and there, I had no experience with kickboxing or Sanda or anything like that. So all of my basics come from Shaolin. Um,
But didn't you do
so
boxing?
like
Yeah.
even
Did you do boxing?
sorry,
Did you ever do boxing?
no,
Ah,
no,
interesting.
never,
Mm,
never done
like
boxing
boxing.
either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, when I started teaching Sanda, obviously through my own research and stuff like that, I trained a little bit more on the bags. And especially when I wanted to lose weight, one of the things that I used was the punch bags in the Thunder Hall. So I used to spend an hour, 2 hours just in there kicking, punching, kicking, punching. That's all I did.
Mm.
Kicking, punching, planks, kicking, punching, planks. That's all I would do. Um, so I guess some of it developed from that. In terms of movement for boxing and kickboxing or Sanda, I think that probably came from my years of watching like someone like Prince Nassim and people like that,
Yeah.
watching Muhammad Ali. So just watching all the Rocky movies. Um, so again, because I like martial arts, I pay attention to movement quite a lot, and I guess that's where it came from. So it was quite natural for me to put the gloves on, start kicking and punching. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, never done boxing before.
Same. I mean, like I was never into boxing as a kid. It's weird. Like, I mean, I wasn't into boxing as a teenager or anything. Like, it wasn't a big thing. Or even, I mean, I used to love the martial arts movies when I was a kid and all that. But when
Mm.
started getting into it, like when I started doing Sanda, because obviously I started doing research and watching, and like I got heavy into like Mike Tyson, man, like in watching his early fights, bro, and like just watching that kind of movement, like even just trying to emulate it, like I couldn't, like you can't do it, man. Like he was just something else, bro. Like just a beast of a
Yeah,
man. Like the speed and the accuracy and the power. It's just like yo, yeah. No, I used to love watching that, man. And then I started really getting into it, like getting into the movement. That's what I'm saying. By like last year, I was really starting to, you know, understand and like the thinking behind it, not just going in and swinging and
Yeah.
kicking and, you know, like literally doing that kind of stuff. Because I mean, I used to get
Yeah.
beat up by these kids, man, that were doing the training with us, you know, these 14, 15-year-old kids banging me in the face, in the head, giving me headaches and stuff. And I was like, nah, man, this can't be happening. Like, yo, I'm smarter.
You know, I think a lot of times when it comes to combat, I think at least 30 to 40% of it has to be psychological.
Mm,
You know, the psychology of the person you're fighting, and your own psychology as well. How do you feel about fighting this guy? How
yeah,
does he feel about fighting you? How's he coming across? You know, all of that plays a big part before you've even thrown a punch.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
You know, you may be expecting something from that person, not realizing that what you're expecting is either going to be harder or much lighter. If it's much lighter, then it changes the game plan. You know,
Yeah.
if it's a lot harder, then it changes the game plan by a long shot. Because when you get hit hard, that first punch that comes hard at you,
And
it
you get the
shakes you
zing,
up.
you get the zing, the ear when your ear
Yeah,
starts.
that's it. When your ear starts ringing, and when that hits you, then you're like, all right, damn, I don't know what to do now.
Like,
Or
how do you,
you think,
yeah, how do
okay,
you
I need to
react?
change my game
Yeah, how do you react? Like, do you act or do you react? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are you just gonna like, you know, pussy out the fight and like just try and block, or are you gonna actually try and think like, yo, how can I actually get this guy back now? You know, I think
plan.
that,
Well, you have to think. I mean, one of the things that I think it's one of the things that Muhammad Ali has said as well, and what made him great is he fought. He didn't just fight. He fought.
mm,
Um, he fought the fight. You know what I mean? So um, there's got to be some sort of plan, but then there's also got to be flexibility in changing your plan as well when you get something that's unexpected. Um, I think one of the things that I tend to do when we've done sparring, even when I've sparred against you and some of the others at the temple, one of the things that I always do is I always take note of how the person's moving, how the person's punching, how hard are the punches, at what point is he going to punch hard. So those little telltale signs that tells me that they're about to punch hard or go in. And once I kind of work that out, then I can play my game,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But also when I do what I'm doing, I always try and mix it up. So, you know, I'll go in hard, then I'll go soft, then go hard, then go really hard, and soft again. But trying not to be static all the time, you know.
No, I think that's something I learned as well was because I used to think it was quite a rigid thing, you know, like the moves would only be, you could only do one thing. But when you get in the ring and you like spar and you realize like, yo, yes, you've been practicing punching on the bag and kicking and stuff, but that's all
Yeah,
you need to like figure out your own way.
yeah,
And I think like once I
exactly.
figured out that I can have my own style and that I can kind of do things my way and manage the fight in my own way, like a lot of things from capoeira started coming back, like especially with the movement and also being
Yeah,
able to
yeah,
switch up my stance and like throw them off and
yeah.
come in
Well,
with the right. And you know, I mean, throw lefts and then switching it up again. And then, like you say, you
yeah,
can also tell like when you throw one or two good punches and you get a guy good, and then they get angry.
yeah,
You learn how
yeah.
to manage the fight better because then they start coming at you harder, and you can actually just
That's
you
it.
know like feed and watch and
Yeah,
yeah, that's your
because
move, man. The fast, the quickness, bro. I could never get you. I used to go for the body more with you.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, there's certain people that, like, for example, if you're up against a young guy
Mm.
and he gets you straight square in the nose, it's one of the main things that's probably going to happen to you is you're going to get vexed. Nah, man, wow, what? This guy just punched me. What? You know what I mean? It's frustrating. It is frustrating. But once you get control of that frustration, yeah, that's when you become a better fighter because
Yeah.
you're fully in control, regardless of what happens. You're fully in control, and once you're fully in control, you can just, do your thing. And it doesn't matter if they get you here and there, just do your thing.
That's what happened to me in the beginning. Is like if I'd spar with you, or I'd spar, especially with like Chung, or like with what's her name, Dennis or whatever. And I mean, they fighters, they're quick and they get you in the mouth or in the nose, whatever. And I'm like, like but then as the more I kept doing it, the more I started, I could feel myself actually starting to control the fight. But then there's sometimes where you don't have that. Like you get in the ring with Daga, and then you don't
Yeah.
you don't give him no space, no time to breathe, and he's like super fit, super strong, super fucking Superman. You know what I mean? Like, what do you do, bro? It's like shit. Oh my god.
Well,
I remember being I was just out there like, yo, you can do this, man. You can do this.
that's it. I mean, that's another thing. So, I mean, one good thing about sparring against someone that's out of your weight class, for example, which Daga is, he's out of your weight class, so he's on a higher weight class, is that when you get punched from Daga, it's not the same as getting punched by someone in your weight class. We're getting punched by me, for example, unless I'm putting in a hard punch. Yeah. So that Daga's light punch would be probably like my hard punch. Yeah, bro. And when you feel those punches continuously coming at you, it's hard to kind of deal with it. But then you got to deal with it and then think, wait, hold on, why am I just standing here dealing with it when I can move? And that's when you decide to move. If you can move, you move.
Well, you remember that was my thing, is I wasn't moving, isn't it? Because he became, especially when I sparred against him, because he'd just be like coming with that Mike Tyson kind of just.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, leave me alone.
To fight against him.
I started dealing with it a bit better, but still, man, like trying to fight, spar with him is like next level, man. That's,
Yeah. Well, I mean, also you got to remember that, including me, Daga done it for 20 years. He hasn't done boxing, but he's done marble kung fu punch. His stance is gonna be there. His basic boxing stance is going to be there, and it's going to be powerful. He's done millions of punches over and over again. The same basic movement. The whole stance. Yeah, his legs are solid.
Yeah. Especially because he got the Shaolin conditioning. That's what I mean as well. Yeah.
Then divert into his punch, which is going to be devastating. If he wanted to for a real hard punch, it's going to be devastating for the other person. So, regardless of whether he's done boxing or not, or whether he's done kickboxing or not, it doesn't matter. The basics are there. It's like, if you've done tricep workout every day of your life for 20 years, for example, and then you put that into a punch, it's going to be a hard punch. You know what I mean? It's going to be a hard punch. It ain't going to be like a soft punch.
No. I'm glad I lost weight, bro, so that I could be in a different weight category. What's his name, man? Tafari, he got battered up, bro, big time. I remember when we were doing our sparring last year, he got beat up, bro. Yeah. And Matthew doesn't go. Daga don't go easy on no one, bro. He takes it serious.
Yeah. Even when I was heavy, I remember doing the stand-up sparring class a few times, and I was up against someone like H. H is like, I'm 5'7", yeah. H is like 6 something.
You know, it reminds me of like Sagat in Street Fighter, bro.
Yeah.
Big legs, and he comes at you with those kicks, like, oh my god.
Yeah. So he was big. So when I first got put up against, and mind you, I was new to Sunda at that time as well. So when Jonathan told me to go up against H, I looked at him. He's like a giant. I was like, okay, cool. I'm maybe heavy, yeah, but this guy is heavier, and he's taller and he's bigger. His legs were like the size of, just his calf was the size of my thigh, So, and I remember getting the first couple of kicks from him. I was like,
Yep,
that
I
hurt.
remember those kicks, man. I had a few dead legs quite a few times.
Yeah, but saying that, coming from again bringing my Shaolin training into it, you know, it's like pain is nothing. You know, we do so much qigong, like hard qigong, breaking iron, breaking bricks, all of that stuff. You know, if you put that into context when it comes to fighting, getting a kick, even though it hurts, you know, you get rid of that pain in your mind. It's like that pain isn't there. Okay, if he's gonna kick, I'm gonna kick as well. I kick him. Maybe he's not used to getting kicked, and he wasn't. So I kicked him a few times. Didn't like it. Then obviously trying to punch him in the face doesn't work. The guy's like up there. I'm down here. So I'll go for body shots. I'll go for body kicks. And I think, if I remember correctly, he was. I mean, he's fairly fast for his size, but not fast enough. So when he tried to teep me or something like that, I think I caught his leg and I sweeped his other leg. He was down on the floor. So bringing someone, yeah,
Yep.
for me, that was an achievement, you know, like to bring such a big guy down just from doing a sweep. And again, that's from basic Shaolin skills that I learned over the years. You know, those little telltale signs of movement that he was doing. And I was quick enough to see him and, you know, counter him. So, but yeah, it was good experience, you know, scary, but a good experience. And the other person was, I don't know if you ever sparred against Denzel.
Oh yes. Oh my God. That was probably the most scariest ever. That guy. Oh God. But the thing is, I knew he was playing with me because like he's way too fast and too strong to just let
He's
me get
very,
away with that. He's not like Dagger that just goes. But that guy, like he's like a rock, man. He was like just fast and strong and hard. Oh my God, Denzel. Jesus.
so when I sparred against Denzel, um, that was very difficult. That was extremely difficult. One, inexperienced, and this is an experienced fighter
He's a seasoned
who's
fighter,
strong
MMA
and
fighter.
he's really. And I remember, you know, the first few jabs he gave me just shocked me. Just shocked me. It was like, boom, boom. I was like, okay, how long is this going on for?
Yeah,
I don't know if I can do it.
that's when that 2 minutes seems like it's gonna be freaking 10 hours, bro. Literally.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, one of the most important things when it comes to, I know we're talking about fighting and sparring quite a lot, but one of the most important things is fitness. Your fitness level has got to be way up there
Yeah,
to just do a couple of rounds of fighting. If your fitness level is up there, then regardless of who you're up against, you know, you can deal with it.
yeah,
You know, um, I've done it a few times where I just lay back, let the other person tire themselves out, and then boom,
yeah.
going for it once you see them tiring out. Um, I've done that quite a few sparring sessions against someone like Denzel. So last year, uh, when he came, when we had the temple's 10th birthday. Uh, at the end of that session, there was also the men's class, which I used to teach. So I started teaching the men's class, and afterwards we were having a little sparring session. Then Denzel was there, and he decided to jump in on the sparring, and I sparred him. He's very unfit, so I'm at the top of my fitness. He's probably at the bottom end of his fitness, and again, I was worried a little bit because this guy's experienced, and having had the experience sparring him before, I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't. But then I got in there, I let him burn himself out. My movement was a lot better than what I initially had when I first sparred him. So it worked out well for me. But he was huffing and puffing by the end of the round. Me, I didn't really take any punches, like anything to
Too serious.
say, you know. But yeah, the first time I sparred him was like crazy. Um, but coming back to that, I because I really enjoyed Sunda, I used Sunda when I wanted to lose weight. So I was at the highest peak of the highest weight I've ever been at, which was 105 kg. This is back in 2016, and I just decided, boom, enough is enough. Yeah, I'm doing Shaolin, but it doesn't reflect the way I look. So people ask me, what do you do? I'm like, yeah, I do Shaolin. They look at me, or they must be looking at me thinking, yeah, but you look like a fool. Do you know what I'm saying? And in my mind, at least,
You exercise, or you exercise every day, yeah?
yeah, exactly. So, but in my mind at that time, it didn't hit. I was kind of a little bit in denial. You could say. You can say that, yeah, but I can do this. I can do flips. I can do flick ups. I can do so much even with this weight on. But yeah, if you looked at me, you'd think no way. But then I thought, if I want to continue, if I want to be serious about this, then I've got to have the whole package. So I started working on just losing my weight. Within about 6 months, I had dropped about, I think, 25 kg or something like that.
Yeah, that's something
So
that
I
was
went,
drastic when I saw you. Like after you lost, I was like, "Yo, you were lighter than me."
yeah,
And yeah, you're like, "Yeah." I was
yeah.
like,
The, I think the first month or the first 2 months, I had lost 10 kg already. And then I just kept losing. And I got to a point where I had lost around the most I lost was about 35 kg. So I went all the way from 105 to about my lowest point, which was 67. So more than 35 kg, which is a lot. And that I did within a year, 1 year.
I remember that.
Oh.
So where are you now, man? Like, where are you now with your Shaolin, and you still?
Yeah, I just got to, 1 second. Yeah, I just got to set my. I got to put the charger on.
Yeah. So yeah, people, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, give some comments if you can. Ask questions as well. I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. So sorry about that, man.
That's cool.
Yeah. In terms of Shaolin, I've done 10 years of it, and not to say that I'm not gonna do it again. I'm still gonna be practicing um, some of the elements of Shaolin and even the way we train. I'm going to the gym a lot at the moment, um, which I like doing. I'm still hitting the bag, still do. I love my skipping and things like that. So I'm just playing around with a few things at the moment until I decide what I want to do. I may take up boxing when all this whole COVID thing is over. I might take up boxing. I might try my hand at MMA. But yeah, I think for me, doing Shaolin for 10 years, which is something I wanted to do, I didn't really put a time limit on it, but I did kind of commit myself to it to say, all right, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this for a while. Do you know what I mean? And I started it late as well, so you know, in terms of my Shaolin journey, it's just on hold at the moment. It might even be at an end. I haven't completely decided yet. Um, but in terms of the way Shaolin train, and the conditioning and the mindset, that's always going to be there now. So
Yeah, of course, that's a part of your life. Are you?
yeah,
Do you follow your religion, or are you spiritual, or like do you follow any type of religious belief or spiritual practice?
yeah. I mean, I do. I mean, I was brought up as a Muslim. Um, I followed it a lot more when I was younger. So I used to practice. I was much more practicing when I was younger for some reason. Usually it's the other way around. Um,
No, I'm the
saying
exact.
that, yeah, I mean, at the age of 16, I was lecturing in my mosque, in front of adults. Like I'm talking about big groups of adults. So I used to spend a lot of time in the mosque when, 16, 17, all the way to about 18, 19, something like that. Um, and even after that as well. But yeah, at the moment, I don't follow a lot more. Also, one of the other things I like doing is I like learning about other religions as well. Um, in terms of comparison. I like to learn about the comparisons of other religions, um, and how they would all tie together. Because in my opinion, I think all religions are the same in their essence. In their beliefs, in their core beliefs, they're all the same. And I think it's very important to try and get that understanding and learn about life through those points of view. Um, in general, we all live the same life. We're not any different, but it's just the way we do things that's different. Um, and the way we do things which are different should be celebrated rather than saying, you do that, or you do that. That's the way I see things. So,
No, I feel
what
exactly.
about yourself?
No, I feel the same. I mean, I grew up Christian, and like I was the same. I was like a youth leader when I was in when I was a teenager. And then when
Yeah,
I was about like 22, 23, I went down like a rabbit hole of just learning about different religions. Went through Rastafarianism, Judaism, Taoism, Buddhism, all this. It's been an ongoing thing. Like I love history and ancient history and learning about things. Like recently, in the last few years, I've been more into Eastern mysticism and philosophy. So like learning a lot about the Indian or like Eastern ancient traditions, the Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, reading all those. I've been reading those texts, learning about like a lot of the different deities like Krishna and that kind of stuff. I actually, on
yeah,
one of my podcasts, I had a Krishna monk, and we were chatting about, being a Krishna monk and stuff like that. So I find it fascinating. And like you say, I celebrate those differences because throughout all my learning and understanding, I find, love is the common theme. You know what I'm saying? Like love your brother, love your neighbor, don't kill, don't steal. Like I'm pretty sure every single one of, if not all of them, that is like the main focus of the religion. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Of any religion, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I feel the same, and I think it's when people meddle with religion, I think that's when it becomes different. That's when it can become something else other than what it was supposed to be,
Yeah, I think
or
it's when
should.
people are like, I'm right and you wrong, that's when it comes in, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we all shit the same, we all eat the same, we all die, we all born the same, we all die the same. I mean, we have different pigments of skin color and whatever and hair textures, but essentially we all the same, you know what I mean? There's no one that has come back from the dead that has actually told us exactly what happened. So nobody knows, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's it. There you go. That's it. Nobody can say for surety, and that's what belief. That's what belief is, isn't it? Belief is all about um, your understanding of something, um, which you take in for yourself, and then you kind of live your life by that. You know, those principles, those set of principles set by that belief, is how you live. Um, and that's another thing. When I was growing up at the time, where I was living and the school that I went to was predominantly um, Asian. When I say Asian, I mean Indian, Bengali, um, you know, other Asian groups. Um, Probably 10% white students in the school, and believe it or not, it was probably one of the most racist schools around in the area, in the sense that the Asians were the ones that were racist. So
racist
I
to
used to enjoy towards everyone,
what? So to,
towards everyone. So for example, I would have Filipino friends, I would have white friends, I would have black friends, um, but my Asian friends, they would stick with themselves, and then they would also say to me, "Why are you hanging about with that black guy? Or why are you hanging about with that white guy?" And I didn't like that because I was already Indian, and I thought to myself, "There's nothing more I can learn about being Indian. Like, I am Indian. I want to learn about other cultures. I want to learn about how they live. I want to learn about what their background is. You know, I want to learn about their points of view, their beliefs. You know, how they're growing up. And because I was really interested in these things, I would hang with them, you know, I would chill with them. So I would want to know about their culture and, you know, all of that stuff. I got involved in some bad cultural stuff as well,
Yeah,
which I won't talk
that's
about. Oh, when I
that's
say when I say bad, when I say bad, I mean, you know, stuff that, you know, most people would call bad. At that time, I didn't see it as bad. Let's just call it frowned upon, yeah.
yeah, but you were a
So
teenager, man. We all did that when we were teens, bro. I did it the same, you know.
no, I don't know about all, but yeah, yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
Not all of us, but maybe, you know, it depends where you come from, I guess, as well. Like,
Yeah, I got involved with, you know, certain groups as well, which I was involved with quite heavily, which wasn't a good thing as well. That definitely wasn't a good thing because it could have led me down a path of no return, if you know what I mean. So it's a good thing that I pulled myself out of that sort of thing. Didn't really have any role models growing up or anything like that. So it was just about me knowing what I was doing or understanding where I was heading towards. That kind of got me out of those situations.
that's interesting, man.
Uh,
I find there's always like people like us in these situations because literally I was in the same thing, you know. I mean, you grow up around certain people and certain things, and you find yourself in certain situations. I mean, I come from a good home and whatever, and yet I'd still be in places with people where, you know, you shouldn't really be, you know what I mean? And like I see, like you said, I could have been led down certain parts, and I was probably close to it for like quite a few years in my teens and early 20s. But then I pulled myself out of it. But I didn't have like role models as well in that sense. They weren't like
yeah,
many successful people who, you know, came from where I came from that was doing stuff. I mean, I come from like post-apartheid South Africa and that kind of shit. So it was
yeah.
weird. Like it's weird. Like how I wonder what it is inside us because I know a few people like you and like me or whatever that like managed to pull themselves away. Whereas I have friends who are probably still doing that shit, or like they're either in prison or they either been there, been to prison so many times, or they're
Yeah.
still on the block doing shit. You know, like what? I wonder what it is. You know what I mean? Is it destiny? Is it? I wonder what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think, you know, in some ways we are a product of our society. So if you see something going on around you, um, there's something inclined in you that kind of draws you towards that direction, or based on, I guess, your personality. You know, everyone's got these personality traits where, you know, they're either going to be led on or they're going to be the people leading. You know, and depending on which one of those you are, and depending on what type of interest you have, and depending on what type of things that you've seen, that you've heard, that kind of makes up your subconscious of how things are going to be, because the subconscious drives you, isn't it? Your conscious is what you know you're doing right now. You know what we're doing right now is our conscious. Um, However, at the same time, our emotions are subconscious. You know, they're automatic programming. That's like the MS DOS for, you know what I mean, the background software that's
System.
doing whatever we're doing.
Mm.
Its inclinations is how you're going to react to what I'm going to say. It's how I'm going to react to what you're going to say, you know, and that comes out automatically.
Mm.
So I think it's those things that kind of take us down different paths. So both me and you could be growing up in the same place. Like me and my brother, for example, me and my brother are very, very different. We grew up in the same household. We went to the same school. However, he done things differently. I've done things differently. You know, some things worked out better for him. Some things worked out better for me. Um,
No,
and you
same
get,
here. My
I
sister
guess
like
you get.
completely different as well, and we grew up in the same household, same place as
Well,
well.
there you go.
Yeah, it's weird. But bro, just in closing, man, I just want to say thank you again for coming on. And is there anything like you want to
No
leave us with, or like any? I mean, you've said quite a few inspiring things throughout the conversation, but like, is there anything you want to leave us with? I think I'll probably hit you up again, maybe in a couple of months or maybe a year or something, and see where you're at and see what your new
Yeah, definitely, man. We got to get together, do some training as well. Yeah,
Yes, sir. You know, I'm there, man. I'm there. You just need to tell me when you.
just a monster gym inside the ring sparring session.
Yeah, we're going Monster Gym.
Yeah,
Is Monster Gym still open?
yeah, it's open, man.
Okay, okay, yeah, you can do
Open.
it as you go there and stuff. So yeah, I'm on
Yeah,
that.
they
Yeah.
got they got some nice bags there. Got the ring there. You
Mm.
can go there, just things, just do whatever training you want to do, and then we can just hit it up.
Yeah, cool, man. Let's speak about that afterwards and that. But yeah, just in closing, thanks again. This is the Other Side of the Sun podcast. I'm the Solar Kid. That's Shinga. Do you want to say anything before I finish?
Yeah, you know what? A lot of people, I'll keep this as short as possible. A lot of people try to kind of find themselves, but it's not about finding yourself. You haven't lost yourself. There's always that true nature within you. So it's just coming back to that true nature, and that true nature is usually somewhere in your teenage years, because in your teenage years you don't give a crap about anything or anyone else. You're just doing your thing. So if you can find that true self again in whatever you're doing, boom, you're on the ball.
Bless, man. Thank you so much, bro. Other
Yeah.
Side of the Sun. Peace and love. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share. We out.